This is Frankie Lynch, astrological consultant. Please visit me at frankielynch.com. I do wonderful readings, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please click the bell so that you get notified of my other fun videos, because I do wonderful videos, and then I go live Mondays and Tuesday nights on YouTube, usually around 5 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 7 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. Central for those of you who can't, figure it out. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit today about Mars square Neptune. It's going to perfect in a few days on March 14th. We are already in orb right now. So what kind of things can we expect with this transit? Well, Neptune, as you may know, is considered the father of deception, of lies, intoxication. But he's also associated with some wonderful things as well. In esoteric astrology, he's considered the planet of the Christ. He's associated with idealism, spiritual aspiration, and vision. Mars, on the other hand, is our drive, our aggression, our masculinity, passion, and action. So I've been looking back at past occurrences of when Mars made a square to Neptune in recent history, and I found some interesting things. We see some patterns that pop back up over and over. For example, we'll see surges in deadly flu and COVID infections. We'll also see increased gun violence, often motivated by racist or anti-Semitic leanings. We'll also see reactionary and regressive laws being passed or forced by lawmakers. And finally, I noticed some interesting developments with Ukraine. So let's take a look at some of these previous occurrences. We're looking here for events that occurred within the 7-degree orb of the square, Mars to Neptune. We have January 11th, 2022, April 9th, 2021, January 28th, 2020, April 27th, 2019, and February 17th, 2018. So let's first look at deadly infections. In 2018, there was a deadly flu outbreak that killed 10 children in 1 week. And then in January 2020, we had the first American to contract COVID-19. In April of 2021, the Alpha variant of COVID-19 hit the United States extra hard. It came from the UK, and it started infecting young people at higher rates and creating more severe symptoms. In late January, early February of 2022, COVID hospitalizations soared to record highs, with over 150,000 patients and 2,000 people dead each day in the United States. Then we come to gun violence, right-wing fanaticism, racism, and anti-Semitism. In fact, today as I'm recording this, we just heard about a mass shooting in Hamburg, Germany. So far, there are 8 people dead, including a gunman who apparently opened fire within a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall. And I realized that the Columbine High School massacre of 1999 also occurred while Neptune was square Mars. I was in high school when that happened. It was the first big mass shooting that really rocked the nation. It was also partly motivated by racist and anti-Semitic ideology. And it was planned for Hitler's birthday. In February 2018, we had the Marshall High School shooting in Kentucky, with 2 killed and 14 wounded. The perpetrator was a 15-year-old student. They found copies of Mein Kampf and the Communist Manifesto in his possession. Then around the same time, there was a shooting at NSA headquarters. Someone thought it was a great idea to run a black SUV into a concrete barricade and then start opening fire. There were several injuries, but no one was struck by gunfire. Thank goodness. And a really tragic incident. Major shooting with mass casualties at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Miami, Florida. 17 people were killed. The gunman was a student with a history of disturbing behavior and mental illness. When police surveyed his social media accounts, he was found to have loads of anti-Semitic, racist, and right-wing posts. Speaking of anti-Semitism, then April 2019, a gunman attacked a synagogue in Poway, California, just miles from where I used to live. He killed 1 woman and injured 3 others, including a rabbi. Then, late January, early February of 2020, we had a shooting on a Greyhound bus in Bakersfield, California, that was destined for the Bay Area. The gunman, once again, was mentally disturbed and killed 1 woman and injured 5 others, including 1 person paralyzed from the chest down. Then we had the Texas A&M shooting, where a gunman opened fire in the dorms and killed 2 women. In April of 2021, we had 4 shootings in 1 week. There was a shooting in Frederick, Maryland that left 2 sailors injured. A former NFL player killed 5 people, including himself, probably due to head trauma. A highway shooting in Texas leaves 1 dead and 5 injured. And then a shooting outside a Utah prison left 2 deputies injured and then the gunman dead. As a response, President Biden announced that he may seek executive actions for gun control, including red flag laws, which are intended to temporarily confiscate guns from people who are demonstrating disturbing behavior or a mental illness episode, which GOP lawmakers blocked. Then we had another terrible incidence of anti-Semitic violence when a gunman took a rabbi and 2 congregants hostage at a Texas synagogue, sparking an 11-hour standoff with police. In terms of reactionary or regressive laws, let's start with 2018, where we actually had a government shutdown for 5 hours because of spending disputes. We're actually headed for another government shutdown now, which could be around October. In April of 2021, the Supreme Court struck down COVID restrictions that were measures intended to slow down the infection rate. In January of 2022, GOP state legislators passed over 30 laws restricting access to voting, and then proposed another 400 more. Then, several interesting things I noticed with the war in Ukraine. In April of 2019, comedian and actor Volodymyr Zelensky was elected president of Ukraine. Then in January of 2022, when Neptune again was square Mars, Joe Biden warned us of a possible Russian invasion. So given all the historical events we've just looked at, what do you think we can expect between now and the end of March? More COVID infections? More gun violence? Right-wing hate speech and rhetoric, especially against trans people right now? Growing racism and anti-Semitism? We already have 389 anti-LGBTQ bills that have been introduced all over the nation. We have even more dire budget disputes this time, and another government shutdown looming possibly this fall. And then I think we can possibly expect more milestones during the Ukraine war. I don't expect them to be positive. Events like these make us more and more aware of the underlying sickness affecting us in our society. And it helps us to start to address these systemic ills instead of just being washed away by them. Human society needs to advance into the future. We've gone through the past for a reason, and now it's the past. In order to advance, we really have to look at what's the best for the greatest number of us. What helps us be the most inclusive, most constructive society that we can be. It's certainly not hate and violence. Once again, this is Frankie Lynch. Please visit frankielynch.com and like the video and subscribe. Click the bell. And please look at all my social media links below. And please consider donating to my Patreon. This is how I keep all this wonderful content being produced and disseminated for your pleasure. Once again, I love you very much. You are beautiful and have a wonderful whatever you're having.